Today's going to be 102-2, and we're going to take a look at solving exponential inequalities. And so that's our objective. We're going to go through and solve exponential inequalities. Now remember, when we're solving any inequality, we're finding the zeros and any undefined value. We put those on a number line and we find the true intervals in the inequality. So like if it said greater than 0, that means on our number line we're looking for the positive intervals. If it's less than 0, that implies negative values. We're looking for the negative intervals on our number line. Okay, but we need to find the zeros and any undefined value. So in this example here, it says solve the following inequality. So going through this, we have to treat it. We're trying to find the zeros. So for right now, let's treat it like an equation. So what if I said 2 to the x squared minus 3x minus 16 equals 0. And I add 16 to both sides. So I get 2 to the x squared minus 3x. That's going to equal 16. Now, we learned yesterday, solving this exponential equation, if we can make the bases the same, do that. And so this will be 2 to the x squared minus 3x equals 2 to the 4th. So when the bases are the same, set the powers equal to each other, or the exponents, minus 4. And so if I factored that, that's x minus 4 and x plus 1. So x equals 4 and negative 1. The other thing we need to look for, there are the domain restrictions. Well, it's an exponential function. There are no domain restrictions to an exponential function. So there are no undefined values here. So I place those values on the number line, negative 1 and positive 4, because it's equal to solid circle, solid circle. So now I need to test the values in the interval, like negative 2, 0, and 5. So we need to test them. So if I plug in negative 2, this is going to give me 4 plus 6. 4 plus 6, which is 10. 2 to the 10th power minus 16. That is definitely positive. Now test 0. So 2 to the 0 power is 1. 1 minus 16 is negative. And then plugging in 5. 25 minus 15. That's going to give me 10. 2 to the 10 power is way bigger than 16, so that's going to be positive. And you can just plug that into your calculator if you need to as well. It says values that are greater than 0, and so values that are greater than 0 are positive values. And so writing my answer, it's going to be from negative infinity to negative 1, union from 4 to positive infinity. And remember, it's brackets because those are closed circles. Next one. Now I have values in the denominator, so we need to kind of keep that. Right now I can immediately say e to the x minus 4 cannot equal 0. But if I do that, right, we have this idea of like, well, what about this 3? What do I do with that? And so I know that our inclination is like, oh, e to the x minus 4 equals 0, but this is going to turn into a rational inequality. And so rational inequalities, we want to combine things together. So we're going to have to do that first. So I need to bring the 3 over there. So I get e to the x over e to the x minus 4 minus 3. Now combining things together, this needs an e to the x minus 4 over e to the x minus 4. And so now I get e to the x minus 3 times e to the x minus 4 all over e to the x minus 4. So I just found the common denominator and I combined them together. Well, this negative 3 can distribute, and so I'm going to get e to the x minus 3 e to the x plus 12 over e to the x minus 4. This is all less than or equal to 0. And I can combine that further. Minus 2 e to the x plus 12 over e to the x minus 4, and that's less than or equal to 0. Okay, so everything has been combined together. Everything is together. And so remember, we said we need to find the undefined values and we need to find the zeros. Now it just so happens, yay, it worked out. I can make this statement, e to the x minus 4 can equal 0. So let's do that. Let's try and find my undefined value first. So if I add 4 to both sides, I get e to the x cannot equal 4. Take ln to both sides, x cannot equal ln of 4. Because if x is ln of 4, then what's going to happen is I'm going to get an undefined value. Now that's the issue, is with ln 4, it's like, well, what is actually ln 4? And so x cannot be approximately 1.386. So that means on the number line, we'll say that this is 1.386 or ln 4. We'll make that the barrier there. That has to be an open circle. Now I have to do the same thing at the top. I have to find what my zeros are. So to find my zeros, I'm going to take the top value, and I'm going to say negative 2 e to the x plus 12. Set that equal to 0 and solve. So minus 12 on both sides, negative 2 e to the x equals negative 12, divide by negative 2. Take ln to both sides. X is ln of 6. So I need to do that in my calculator. So ln 6, that's approximately 1.78 or some 1.791. So right here, that's a closed circle at 1.791. And that's going to be ln 6. So we can assume that this is 0. 0's on that side. Probably in between here is ln 5. And then maybe pick up somewhere over here ln 6. Or sorry, ln 7. And that's what we're going to have to do to determine what's positive or negative. And the reason why I'm choosing values that are ln is mainly because they're going to cancel out nicely. So for example, if I plug in 0, well, e to the 0 power is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus that's a positive. And then 1 minus 4 is a negative, so a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So that's a negative right there. But now if I plug in ln 5, and I'm going to write this first one out so you can visualize it. If I do negative 2 e to the ln 5 plus 12 over e to the ln 5 minus 4, well, the e's and the ln 5's cancel out. Sorry, the e's and the ln's cancel. E's and the ln's cancel out. So that gives me negative 2 times 5 plus 12 over 5 minus 4. So this is negative 10 plus 12, that's positive. 5 minus 4 is positive. Positive over a positive gives me a positive. And then the ln 7, same idea, except now this is going to be a 7. So negative 2 times 7 is going to be a negative 14. Negative 14 plus 12 is negative. 7 minus 4 is positive. Negative over a positive is a negative. And so I know that this is going to be negative. So we know that my solution, it says values that are less than or equal to 0. So values that are less than or equal to 0 are going to be negative values. And so there's my solution set. And so my solution set is going to be from negative infinity all the way to ln of 4 union ln of 7 all the way to infinity. No, it doesn't fit. There you go. Last one. Same idea. I need to find any undefined values or zeros. Well, right now it's exponential. It doesn't look like there's any undefined values here so far, but maybe eventually we'll get one. So let's see. So minus 4x on both sides. The reason why I'm bringing it together is because it looks like I can combine the x's together. So I'm going to look at it as an equation right now. I'll write the inequality version so that we can compare it later as well. Okay. So now there's an x in common. So now I can set each one equal to 0 and solve. So on this one, x is just 0, so that's one of them. On this one, I have e to the 2x minus 4 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides. E to the 2x equals 4. Ln to both sides. 2x equals ln 4. Divide both sides by 2. X equals ln 4 over 2. So those are my values that I need to put on the number line. Now, open circle because it can't equal that. So I'm going to have 0 and ln of 4 over 2. Now that's something I want to enter my calculator because I want to know what the approximation is. So ln of 4 divided by 2, that's about 0.62, so I'll say 0.5. Now this is so abstract that I kind of want to just like enter all of these into my calculator. So this is open circle, that's open circle. We said that that's a value to pick, -1's a value to pick, and +1 is a value to pick. So like I said, we probably just want to enter all of these in calculator. So the first one, -1 times e to the 2 times -1 minus 4 times -1, and so I get a positive number. Now if I plug in 0.5, so if I plug in 0.5, there is no negative, so make sure you gotta get rid of that. And so I'm gonna get a negative. And then plugging in 1. I'm going to get a positive. So it says values that are less than 0, so values that are less than 0 negative. And so this is going to be my solution set here. And so I'm going to say that my answer is going to be from 0 to ln of 4 over 2. That's my answer. So in closing, what type of concepts were discussed today? Well, we took a look at exponential inequalities, and I reminded you guys that when we have an inequality, we have to look at both the zeros and the undefined values. Now I want to hear from you, what are some of the similarities to solving an exponential equation? So what about what we did today versus what we did in the previous lesson? What are the same? And then are there natural domain restrictions to an exponential equation? And if so, how would you be able to find them? Well, this does conclude our lesson. If you do have any other questions, please leave them in the comments.